Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
You can hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. You can hear me.
Clearly.
Yes, it is clear. Your voice is clear.
Okay, very good. So, by this time, all of you have received all the study material as well the link for the exam.
Yes, sir.
Through
And also the exam link also.
exam link also is with you. I wish all of you succeed, but entirely depending on you, how good you are. Browse my computer. Ore baba re. Portal, class notes, TKG, transportation. Oh my goodness, that has not been taken yet. Let me check. Transportation PDF. आजा बाबा आजा. अरे यार आजा ना. Now this is to be saved in Auto. Oh, it is already there. I have done it, so no need. So I can directly, what is that? I can directly, no, it is not there, why? Just now I saw it is there. Oh my goodness. TPG. अरे यार क्या करता है. it has to be all files. Sure. Okay, now done. Huh? Cannot display comment? Why? आजा बेटा आजा. PDF files don't open. अरे यार आजा. PDF to PowerPoint is not possible, no? It goes stuck. Why? I think there is something problem here, so I can share it here. Okay, share. Yeah, now we can see. Hello, sirs.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Is visible, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How to put it out? This fellow, I don't want.
Sir, click on that small arrow.
Smaller this.
In this, no, not that one. Sir, the screen-এর পাশেই যে small arrowটা রয়েছে দেখুন। স্ক্রিনের এই সাইডে।
This
right
one.
side, right. This one, that opposite one. Yes, sir.
Very good. Now, I am so unfortunate that till date you have okay. Everybody. Let it be on, otherwise you are not able to see me. But that's what I am saying. I am so unfortunate that till date You have seen me a number of times, but I could not see you even for once. Fine, that is what is new normal. Okay, now again and again I am saying why that exam will start at 3 o'clock and I have written clearly, explicitly, because my experience for last 2 years with this new normal, with the students, that if you are not able to submit by any means, that means I don't know, neither you know. If you are not able to submit, you are absent. There is no second or third consideration, right? So whether you submit at 310, 330, 340, 350, 359, I have no problem. But it should be submitted. Those who have submitted, they will get their result then. Once you submit, because computer will do it automatically and perhaps give you, that's what instruction is given, you are supposed to get back. And what is the pass mark? I forgot that. I read once, but I forgot that. Do any one of you remember?
60 marks, sir. 60.
60. So that is why
60.
I have made it 100 mark. Each question 2 mark, 50 questions are there in 1 hour. Since it is objective, so that is why it is given like that. We also give to the students like that. And I presume that you will not do any hiraferi, hanky-panky, whatever we call, amongst yourself. The reason being, question number 1 for a male or a female or any dada or any didi, anybody, he may not be same as the other because everything will be shuffled by computer. I have no idea how it will shuffle. So it may not match, number 1. Number 2, I wish exam you should give on your own. Please don't, whether you have already made any group, that is WhatsApp group, if you have already made or not, that is also beyond me. I am not going to look at. But again, I wish you succeed based on your effort, based on your knowledge, based on your expertise. Right? Coming back to the today's class. Today we said that it will be frozen food transportation. Right? This I am skipping because already. Now this picture, as I told the other day, that when we are freezing, these are the two comparison of one. This is by mechanical refrigeration freezing, that is the plate freezing typically, and this one is the cryo freezing. Right? You see, this is time in minutes and hours. Of course, not to the scale, time. And temperatures, right from 25 room temperature is coming down several hours to say minus 46, minus 23, blah, blah. Several hours it is taking. And the same thing Q by A is UA delta T. right? And here also the same thing is happening for the cryo freezing, and you see it is in terms of seconds or minutes, almost instantaneously, depending on again product, depending on shape, depending on size, more or less not shape but the size is the determining factor by which this lowering of temperature can be done, right? Once we have, this is what we start with. We have a frozen food, right? The moment we have a frozen food, that has to be transported. Now this is called a cold chain. Cold chain meaning from the point where you are freezing, your processing is being done. Freezing is a part of processing. From the point where it is done up to the consumer, it should be under minus 20 or minus 18, that is the minimum, right? Minus 20 or minus 18, this level should be maintained. Because we have already shown during freezing that if the thawing is done, then there will be melting of the ice, and if it is refrozen, then that will not be quick or whatever, very slow freezing, because that freezing will be from the associated cold. Whosoever, like 172, you are here, out of which 5 got thawed, and then again these 5 will be frozen from the cold available from remaining 167 people, right? Same is true with that frozen material. Then what will happen? The size of the ice crystal will grow, not desirable. By the way, one more information I should say, though it is not a part of exam, that our tongue, right? Today I am in the normal state. Till yesterday I was in abnormal state, in the sense I was using my what we call it is denture. I don't have teeth, for not today, for last 10, 12 years. So I was using that denture, but I thought, no, at least on the last day, they should know me. I have no problem. I don't hide normally. I'm not Yudhishthir, but I don't hide normally. So, yeah, aesthetics, many other things are there for which we have to have. And that too I am from the house. My better half will not allow me to wear any and everything. Blah, 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 blah. That is normal with everybody. So, what I was saying, that our tongue, this tongue is so good a sensor that you know, because you take food, you take this, non-food, whatever. These sensors which we have are so beautiful, made by nature, that till today we are not able to replicate. Till today. The one of the fundamental thing you see, this fellow, right? Till today, no robot could be made so versatile that you can play like Jackie Rosen, or you can play sitar by like Ravi Shankar, Yes, you can make other things, but playing like that, physically, not possible yet, because we could not replicate these fingers. Same is true with our sense organs, and tongue is one of them, where many sense organs are, or sensors are there. So these can sense particles to the tune 30 micron. Anything above 30 micron, 30 to 45, that should be typically said, because it is also person dependent, right? What you see red may not be red to me, a little this, that. So that's perception. So like that, 30 to 45 micron is the size by which your tongue can detect. If it is below that, it has no. That is why if you make those curries and other thing, where after doing the curry, things become soluble, blah blah, whatever, your tongue does not feel it. If it is more, then it says, today that haldi or this masala has become blah 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 blah. Right? So here also it is coming that if that freeze thaw is happening, if the size crystal becomes bigger, then your tongue will not accept it. It will say, no, boy, it is somehow gondogol, some jhamela, something wrong. So we start from here, and now we go how the cold chain is maintained. Cold chain, you see here, I gave a typical, I did not, this is not my work, somebody else's work which I have copied. Of course, this was in my PhD thesis. There it was properly referred. Here also perhaps some reference is given, where from it has been taken. So, it is coming, it is frozen, right? And then it goes like this, like that, like that, like that, and ultimately to the retail seller, where from the customer is buying. Nowadays malls, nowadays big houses, those are there. So up to that point, and from there, whether you will bring it back to your home after 1 hour or 2 hour or 10 hour, obviously that is not the seller's headache. Seller will tell, I have given you material which is less than -18 or around -18. So how do you take, where you keep is your problem, not mine. I am very happy. Just a gossip. When I was in quality ice cream, maybe 1988-89, during that time, it was at Bombay only. It is no more there. Because heart of the city, you are not supposed to keep any ammonia refrigeration, because ammonia is toxic. If there is any debacle or any untoward incident happening, that will cause very harm to the society, even to the tune of killing people. So it was shifted from there to perhaps Nasik or Pune. However, when I was there, obviously, a lot of ice cream I used to have. Not only me, I was with my elder brother's family in Twin Towers, Bombay, Prabhadevi, one of the biggest house. However, and that was closed, maybe around 3-4 kilometers within. Even walking could be done. So when I used to bring it, they used to give me, suppose a typical one, I don't know whether you have ever tasted casada, black forest, cake, ice cream cake, etc. So those are supposed to be taken in a insulated container. And that insulated container is normally made of thermocol. So what they used to do, I was one of the big shot. So what they used to do, they used to give me, along with that, some dry ice. I hope dry ice you know. If you don't know, then let me tell, dry ice has a melting point, or not melting, sublimation point of minus 78 degrees centigrade. From solid it vaporizes directly, sublimation. Right? So it has a lot of latent heat. So that latent heat is given to the material. Then only it sublimes. It takes the heat from the material and it sublimes. So usually they used to do for such kind of exotic food too. Again, people like us, they used to eat that. That can be taken as one kind of transportation, frozen food transportation, dry ice, right? Though dry ice is little costly and not available everywhere. If you break your head, you will not get dry ice in Kharagpur, IIT, where we are staying. Even at your locality, if you break your head, if you are not typically in Bombay, Delhi, Lucknow, may not be Lucknow, Bangalore, things like that, dry ice you may not get so easily. Again, one more gossip. When I was there, my chief engineer, we used to share one because Bombay, you know, the floor area is very costly. So the floor space for the initially later on in the second half of my this stay at there, I was there 1.5 years. I made 3 patents out of that. However, so I was given a very big cabin, obviously, and but before that, when I was sharing with my chief engineer, and since I am from Bengal, and that time it is Suchitra Sen, yeah, the figure. He used to tell, you know, how those shots during the film are made, that lot of vapors, lot of things are coming. So they keep dry ice and put some water over it, and then the vapors are all over. I don't know, that he claimed. I have never seen such kind of thing. So dry ice is one of the very good refrigerating unit for transporting food material, right? So this is the then cold chain. So you are bulk, from bulk you are again transporting bulk to another storage where it could be a distributor, then it could be a local distributor, and then it could be a retail shop. Like that, as many. Like if you want to bring from again Madras to Delhi, so you have to travel several hundred kilometers, right? It may not be feasible for one vehicle to travel. So that is why in between you may have some godowns or warehouse, whatever you call. But they are always under cold storage. The day I was saying the other day cold storage, I should have said that typically there are two types. Oh, of course I said yes. One is above zero and another is sub-zero. When it is sub-zero, this is generally less than minus 18 or below. Above zero can be anything depending on the product, right? Maybe 2, 3, 4, 10. By the way, this also reminds me one thing. Maybe sometimes 80s, end of 80s around that, or beginning of 80s, there was a company who first brought into the market these potato chips. I forgot the name. It is no more there. Those who were making Black Diamond beverages, it was by that side. Fun Munch or something like that, I don't remember. So they used to make potato chips. Potato chips, how it is made? Yeah, it is deskinned, then sliced, then blanching, blah blah blah. All these are done, then fried with the oil. And that particular company in India, that was the first. They brought the machine from Italy. To my memory, that time it was 2 crore. You see, 80s 2 crore means now it will be several crores. But it did not sustain. You know the reason? It is not the money for which it did not. It did not sustain because in Bengal, potato which is produced, it is not Bengal. It could have been from anywhere because such a big company can bring from Punjab, from Haryana, from Madras, from Bangalore, any place, doesn't matter. But that time, it was not known initially that during the frying process, because I told you the other day also, Maillard reaction, right? That is sugar-amine reaction. So whatever sugar and amines are there in potato and in the frying, during frying it becomes a little color, yellow to reddish color. The taste and everything was okay, but the color was the fundamental thing. They were not able to get the right kind of potato. And this was the reason why they had to shut off their business. Nowadays, of course, many companies are there. And nowadays, the craze is also there. So, why again it is? Because this potato is stored around 2 degrees, plus 2 degrees. This is of the cup, okay, for information. Potato is stored at 2 degrees centigrade. And when it is at that low temperature, the starches present in potato, they become converted into sugar. So sugar content goes up. The moment sugar content goes up when you are frying, so that sugar-amine reactions happen and Maillard reaction takes place, it becomes brown or colorful. So that's not desirable. Nowadays, how they are taken care of? Nowadays, typically, if you just survey, you will see that those big companies like ITC and many others, they are cultivating that typical variety for making the chips. and they are stored at plus 10 degrees centigrade. So at this high temperature, that conversion of sugar to, I rather starch to sugar is not so much. I don't say it is zero. It is not so appreciable. So that is why these are now sustaining. However, beyond us, lot of additional things as and when it is coming. Okay, then you need to transport through some vehicles by refrigerated condition. Now you take a, which I thought I would be giving, but since the time was not there, as it was said that by 14 sessions, that is 28 hours, the course has to be finished. Otherwise, I thought a typical ice cream which is liked by everybody, I would say something about that. However, since it has come, I tell you from my experience that ice cream is the most vulnerable food material we have in the frozen form. When we were students, we went to some place, maybe Darjeeling, as student from the department. That time it was there that factory visit, blah, 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 industrial visit, things were there. And we visited tea gardens and many others in Darjeeling. So our librarian, who was also a lady, madam, so we were very, very friendly to her. And we used to use our library like anything. In the same building where our classes are there, same building, same maybe floor, the library was there. So as and when it was required, you used to visit the library and study, blah, blah. So we were friendly to her. So when we came back, we were asked, what did you bring for me? You love me so much, you call me Didi, Didi, Didi. One of our friends, we are naughty, there is no ambiguity. So one of we thought what to say. So we discussed and said, Didi, we were bringing ice cream from there. So you know, by the time we reached the station, that time it was by train only. So by the time we reached the station, the ice cream got melted, and we thought why to keep the cup with us, so we threw away. But this gives again another very, very good information that ice cream is such a vulnerable frozen food material, which requires to be taken care of absolutely carefully. Otherwise, if it is melted, it cannot be reverted back. Right? Like another thing which you take care very, very carefully, that is the egg. Everywhere, all over India or world, you will see people are handling egg very, very carefully. If they would have taken that a little care for potato instead of so much care for egg, then this industry would not be at risk at some point. However, again, so I take that ice cream as the frozen food material. Now, if, as I gave you an example of that Prabhadevi, Orly, that junction, it was there, and you have to travel for 1 kilometer. And in Bombay, ice cream is very popular. One of the reasons is throughout the year, the temperature remains more or less 30 around. right? Not in any other part of the country. So yeah, in some southern part, maybe Madras and other, is highly humid and temperature is also high. But that culture of consuming ice cream is not so much developed. In Bombay, it is definitely. Again, a gossip. When I was there, I had a invitation from our company itself. Our assistant general manager's son who was getting married. And when I was going, my elder brother was saying, okay, we'll keep your dinner in the night. I said, I'm going to attend a marriage ceremony and why should I need to? He said, you go and see and after coming, we'll keep your food, you don't worry, we'll give you back. I mean, we'll keep it. Yeah, I went there and after a couple of hours, I observed the same ice cream from our company, a slice was given in a plate and that's all. So when I came back, my elder brother said, yes, this is the culture of Bombay. So in this kind of ceremony, marriage or birthday, whatever, they usually give one cup of, one slice or maybe cup, whatever, of ice cream. So since they have this, so local delivery was required. Lot many retail shops were there. So from the production unit, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 5 kilometer. So if everywhere they are used to use the, refrigerated transport, the cost of distribution will be very high. So what they used to do, they used to keep in insulated container and that is called shipper box. I give you a typical size. It is around say 1 meter by half a meter by again 1 meter or more than that, top open and all insulated, right? So this frozen material they used to keep in that box and if it is point to point, so from the production to the retailer, if it is, they used to keep it and dump it from taking it and dumping it to the retailer. That is one kind, only in insulated van. Then I also observed, okay, let me finish this because time is going. So this is another which is widely used, very, very widely used, that is insulated van, right? Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Why did I put up that you know very much that why did I put my video off? Because I am given a cup of tea which I don't want to share with you. Okay, what I was saying. This is a typical mechanically refrigerated transport system. all frozen food material, including ice cream, is transported in these type of refrigerated van. You see, this is a vapor compression refrigeration system, not ammonia. It is by freon or any other chlorofluorocarbon as of now. So this is mounted on the driver's cabin, top of the driver's cabin, right? And the evaporator is inside. There is a fan before the evaporator. So that fan circulates this cold air in the entire space. And depending on what you are giving, here there is not shown in most of the vans, there is one ante-room, right? So here there is also break, means insulation, and there may be a window so that for loading, unloading, loading from outside, and some people inside, so they do place it and arrange it nicely so that it can be loaded, unloaded accordingly. So this is a mechanically refrigerated van, right? As I was saying, that another way in that shipper van is that they do have some, this is called pad, eutectic pad. Eutectic we have already said. So that eutectic pad means some eutectic solution in that pad. Pad like you carry your briefcase, a little bigger than that, depending on the size of the shipper. There is obviously cork on the top so that you can put it inside and close also equally. And it is kept again an eutectic solution for overnight, maybe around 8 to 10 hours. The entire thing becomes frozen, and then this becomes a source of cold. So in that insulated shipper, they used to keep one or two such kind of pads, depending on how far they will be going, how many times retailing they will be doing, because every time they will open the top and keep a little 5, 10, 20 numbers to one retailer and then move to another. So those are used to be, and these shippers are normally taken not in any insulated van. So where there it is plain van, no refrigeration, a plain van, and these shippers are kept one over other according to their distribution schedule, right? That is shipper pad, right? And the same facility, that thing has been used. It is not here perhaps, yeah, it is not here in drawing. The same thing is used, not this kind of mechanically refrigeration. There are some holdover, that is on the top, some evaporator coils kind of thing, which are filled with this kind of eutectic solution. And in station, they plug it to the electricity, and there is a refrigeration unit by which these eutectic holdover, it is called holdover, means on the top it is there, and those act as, and you see most of the heat comes from the top because you have the sun ray on from the top, so it is exposed mostly. Then the sides, this side may be a little at some time, that side may be a little, back may be a little sometime, but top is all the time. So most of the heat comes from the top. That is why it is also good there. Besides, the cold travels from top to bottom, right? So that is why it is kept on the top. That is called eutectic holdover plates. Another type, right? So other than this mechanical and that eutectic holdover plates, there is also one called polar stream. This is a typical polar stream refrigeration unit where liquid nitrogen tanks are carried along with the box, along with the container. Right? These are those liquid nitrogen containers. These are called trailers. I hope you know. After the driving is some space where these liquid nitrogen containers are placed, and all along there is a line, there is a control valve, there is a sensor also. So as and when the temperature is set, whatever temperature is raised or lowered, according to that, these valve opening and closing takes place. There is a sensor which dictates this. This is called polar stream, and this was developed in 1960s by BOC, Oxygen. British Oxygen, they had developed this kind of thing. After this, there were many, and this is how, if it is more in number of cylinders, how they are connected, because originally it is connected to this. So once it is getting empty, liquid comes from there to this, then liquid from there to this, then liquid from there to this. This way it goes on. It gets emptied, past this, then this, and finally this. So this is how this channeling of the cylinders are made. Afterwards, many people, here there was no fan, right? It was all by, because as we know, liquid nitrogen on vaporization makes huge vapor. The conversion rate is 1 cc of liquid makes 800 cc of vapor. So conversion is 1 to 800. So huge vapors are produced. And vapors do have access to everywhere. So that is why this was not given any fan. But afterwards, scientists, they made it, no, let there be also some fan, so that circulation is much more better, and that is called clip-on type of refrigeration. And similarly, another type called cryofan, that was also, these are ancillary to the polar stream. Then this I made during my PhD study, that this is called dump charging. Before the transportation, the entire heat which will be encountered by the frozen food is calculated. And then once it is known, you know how much liquid you need, that also calculated. So this, if it is minus 18, with the help of that liquid nitrogen again, there is a spray device, everything, you made it to whatever required, say minus 30, minus 40, the entire thing. So minus 20 is my datum. So minus 30, minus 40. Only the disadvantage is that this is needed for point to point, means You will travel from Kolkata to Jamshedpur, or say Kolkata to Ranchi, or say Kolkata to say what Nagpur, like that. So depending on how much distance you are traveling, how much time you need, how much total quantity of heat you will get exposed, accordingly this is dumped. The refrigeration is dumped in the form of liquid nitrogen. And this is why it is called dump charging method. And this is how the typical graph, you see, the surface will be at very low temperature, whereas the core will be at comparatively high temperature. So when you are dumping the liquid dumping, so surface temperature will be very low. So gradually, this is the depth and this is the temperature. Gradually it will penetrate inside, right? This was my datum of -20. So this was that. And that was when you were spraying. So when you are spraying at different levels, it is like that, Uma. And when it is the other way around, that is you are heating up, then again what will happen? This surface will be first affected, so it will go on increasing, right? And it will get cold from the inside. The surface will get cool from the inside, and that kind of equilibration will take place after some time, and this is how this is made. Joita, Joita ma'am, she has not yet joined.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am there.
Joined. Arey Baba Baba. So, this is how the transportation of frozen foods are done. I could not have given this because this I prepared today morning. But whatever information I have given, if it is in your mind, hopefully you will not face any difficulty in answering your questions. Right? All the best again to all of you for the exam. Now it is my co-teacher, Professor Joita Mitra, will take her last class. Before I leave, let me again tell you that this class will be over by 11 o'clock. Then from 11 to 12 officially you have a break. Then 12 to 2 you have lunch break. Then at 2 o'clock onwards, up to before 3, you are supposed to give your feedback. If you are not giving feedback in your Atal portal, you will not be taken as present. Right? That is one of the fundamental proof we have that you have given the feedback to the portal. Right? I hope you know that and you are asked to do that. So once you do that, get ready, and I don't think feedback will take that 1 hour time. That is up to you. Whenever you start, whenever you finish, whatever time you take, 1 hour is given. After that, your exam will start at 3 o'clock. The link I have given, if you put it on, it will be opening at exactly 3:00 p.m. and it will be over by 3:59:59, right? This you keep in mind, I am repeatedly telling. Because if you are not doing that, if you are not able to submit, you will be taken as absent. There is no other way. Right? Thank you. Over to Professor Joita Mitra.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, 1 minute, 1 minute. I have already taken out that slide. So it will be continuing. Yeah. Okay, let it be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Let me share my slides. Is my slide visible to all of you?
Yeah, it is visible. I don't know how many of them are on the line.
Okay.
Appearing it is so many, but how many
Yeah,
are
ma'am,
there?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. It's visible.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's visible,
Okay,
madam.
thank you. So today I will discuss about nano packaging for food application. As I am doing work on nano packaging based on some coding application or some film development and their use in food packaging. So I'll try to give you some idea on how we do that. So basically nanotechnology is a very common and known name to all of you since hopefully last 1 or 2 decades. So this involves the characterization, fabrication and or manipulation of structure, devices or materials that have at least one dimension in approximately 1 to 100 nanometer in length. Okay, so nanomaterial, use of nanomaterial and their share in production of food related thing or many other application in biomedical or medical biotechnology has increased enormously. If you see that starting from 2018 to 2023, the incremental growth of this nano material use, you can get 41% growth, and the market share is continuously growing at a rate of 24% roughly. So there are European countries, American countries, America. They are working on increasing use of nanomaterial, and also the regulations are also coming. Like in food, whether we can use it, if we can use, then what is the concentration or what is the percentage of nanomaterial that should be there, which will not cause any harm to human beings. So many studies are going on and regulation about the migration studies, etc., and use of nanomaterial that are also coming up. So here are certain references I have provided if you want to see the global food nanotechnology market 2019 to 23. There is a link given. You can go through this site and then you can get some idea about that. So basically, why these nanomaterials are so much in discussion or so much of causing interest among scientific community is that if you consider above 100 nanometer, so whatever materials you consider, whether it is a biological materials or any other metal or any other material, those are beyond this size, they basically perform or govern by physical laws. For example, gravitational forces and macro mechanics. So these are the forces which were known to us from ancient times, that how they behave, how gravitational force act on the material, how mechanical force act on the material, macro mechanical force. But the transition happens when we go lower than 100 nanometer size. So then so much of other things appear in the picture. For example, there is quantum confinement, quantum tunneling, electromagnetic behavior changes, quantization of energy, molecular motion, large surface to volume ratio. So all these change happen, and because of this change results in chemical reactivity which may go on the higher side. Interfacial area and the forces acts on the interfacial area, that will be more prominent in that stage. Catalytic behavior may arise, adhesion forces may improve, adsorption by the molecule may improve in their nanoscale, light scattering activities may differ or enhance, tunneling effect, strain forces, purity, then supramagnetic effects, conductivity of the material. So all these things improve or enhance because of their nanoscale and because of increase in this in their properties. So because of that, nanomaterials are so much in consideration and so much in use in recent times. So if you see the purview of nanoparticle or the application areas of nanoparticle, so you will find that the nanoparticle has already has a widespread on different areas, whether it is textile industry, whether it is renewable energy, whether it is environment, whether it is biomedical application or healthcare application, electronics application, industrial application, or even in food and agriculture. So you can see the slide and you can go through it. The material I have already given to you. So you can see that what are the different activity areas. But coming to food and agriculture application of nanoparticles, food packaging is very important and very one area which is actively growing very fast rate. So in food packaging, uh, we use this nanoparticle to develop nanocomposites which can enhance the functional property of the packaging material. And apart from that, we can also use this for some kind of active packaging or smart packaging application. For example, the nutrient delivery thing, the sensing part. For example, it can indicate you about the quality of the product. So food processing, catalysis, food quality or safety analysis, sensors, gas barrier, to improve the gas barrier, different kind of nanocomposite we can develop. Wear resistant coating is there. uh, so UV blocking, some kind of coating we can develop which can have UV blocking capability. Antimicrobial coating, which is very common nowadays, many people are working on that antimicrobial packaging and coating development. Interaction with the food, improving the antioxidant property, because through this nanoparticle you can provide antioxidant to the food also by making them release intermittently or with time, triggered by some other factor, whether it is temperature or pH. So nanotechnology and packaging, these are very much related nowadays. Three areas of application specifically on nanotechnology is having on packaging sector, food packaging sector specifically. One is incorporation of active compounds to provide functional performance. Function in the sense mechanical performance may improve, barrier property of the film may improve, and antimicrobial property should be there. So these are considered as active packaging material, where by incorporation of nanoparticle all these functional properties can be improved. Another is the nanosensors for traceability and monitoring the condition during storage or during transport. So this comes under the intelligent or smart packaging. And another is the increased absorption or bioavailability of nutrients and health supplement. So these three are the specific area of nanoparticle application in food packaging. So the materials that are used as nanofillers or nanoparticle, nano emulsion, nano composite, and nanostructured material. Nanoparticles can be of many types. For example, they can be used only to enhance the mechanical performance. So that can be one type of, and there may be nanoparticle which are basically carrying the nutrients. Okay, so we can call them nano carriers or nanoparticle which is encapsulating any nutrient material that can be released. Another is the nano emulsion that we can prepare. Nano composite we call when these particles are embedded in some organic or inorganic matrix and a nano composite is developed for food packaging. Nanostructured materials are there. These are also targeted for some specific application of nutrient delivery or some other thing, for example UV blocking. So this, for this kind of thing, nanostructured material, nanorod, nanotube, hexagonal nanoplates, these are used. Now using that we can improve the processes, for example, heat and mass transfer, reaction engineering, biotechnology intervention, molecular synthesis. So all this processing involves these nanomaterials, nanoparticles. And the product that we are getting, one is the control delivery triggered by uh, any other parameters which is either changing during the process or we make them change intentionally. um, the formulation we can develop, for example, some kind of nano emulsion we make and which we put into some food formulation, and that can be of enhanced functionality or increasing the antioxidant or nutritional quality of the product. And also packaging is there where we use the nano composites. Product safety point of view, if we use them, nanomaterial, so we can develop nano sensors and nano tracers. Nano tracers means time temperature indicators, so where in the whole chain starting from the production, when these tags are attached to the food packaging, and from that point to the consumer, when it reaches to the consumer, any change in the time temperature history, if it happens, any change in the desired time temperature combination, if it happens, so it can indicate you, and you can trace them. So these are nano tracer. And sensors are kind of material, kind of nanoparticle which are used to indicate you about the quality, for example ripening, for example more ethylene generation, for example any pathogen contamination has happened, so it can indicate you that it has been spoiled or so. So for that nano sensors are used. So there are certain gas detectors also. If any leakage is there, so that can be also detected. Microbial growth nanosensors are also there. Now nanostructured material, those material for whom we can fabricate or create the size lesser than 100 nanometer in at least one dimension. So nanomaterial states that a material is to be considered nano if half or more of the total number of particles in a material have one or more dimension in nanoscale. That means what it says, that half or more of the total number of particle. That means it is not that like 100 particle, among 100 particle, if one or two are in nanoscale and rest of them are in macro scale, so we cannot call them nanomaterials. Okay, so at least half or more should be in the nanoscale. So in the nanoscale material also there are different dimension we can see. So like nanoparticle, nanorods, nanosheet, nanotubes, nanoflowers. So all are of different dimension, and accordingly we can, like nanoparticle further can be framed in nano clusters of smaller dimension, having 1 to 2 nanometer. Okay, so all this developed for different purposes. So in some cases maybe nanoparticle will be valid, in some cases maybe we need nanorods, in some cases we need nanoflowers, and this also depends on the product from which we are making, nanoparticles. Some kind of cellulosic material, they can give you this nanoflower kind of material, and mostly this metal kind of thing if we use, we can get the nano rod kind of structures. Okay, so these depends on the method we are applying, the material we are using, and for the prolonged time, if we are causing the reaction to happen, then it may happen that one dimensional is getting increased over time. So from the particle you may get a nano rod. Okay, so this way it is changing. Classification of nanomaterials. So nanomaterial or nanofillers can be of organic, inorganic, different sources. Carbon nanostructure is actually hugely applied in packaging field or other field also in nanomaterial. So it has been given a distinct category because it is heavily used and have lot many different functionality. Organic material can have nanofibers or whiskers, and we can develop cellulose nanoparticles, starch, chitosan, carbon nanotubes, graphene, etc. And inorganic, maybe nano clay. Nano clay can be of different kind of like montmorillonite, kaolinite, hectorite, halloysite, organically modified clay. In packaging specifically to enhance the mechanical and barrier property, nano clay is largely used. Nano clay and organically modified nano clay, because they can give you different structure. I will show you some of them in my slides, that they can give you very different kind of structure or organization with the matrix, so that you can change your functionality time to time. So that is possible here. Cellulose nano crystal or cellulose nano material also used to enhance the material, or sometime they give thermal buffering effect also. Metal nanoparticle is having distinct property in terms of antimicrobial. Silver nanoparticle, zinc nanoparticle, they give antimicrobial property against gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Some gives against fungus as well. Apart from that, some metallic nanoparticle give very good UV blocking effect. For example, titanium oxide, they provide very good UV blocking effect. Zinc oxide also give UV blocking effect. So in some food packaging where you need to guard the inside material from the photocatalytic effect, so you can definitely use this kind of nanomaterial in the matrix. Gold nanoparticle here I have not mentioned, but that is having again a very good nanoparticle. Mostly that is used for rapid detection. Nowadays, many people are making this kit of rapid detection of any fungus. For example, rapid detection of aflatoxin. So that has been developed based on gold nanoparticle embedded chip. They have made kind of paper sensor they have developed. So what they do, they because when you break the particle in nanoscale and very small range, so what happened that they can change color differently based on the concentration of the reacting particle. These nanoparticle, gold nanoparticle, can change their color, and by that they signify that what is the condition of the material. Okay, so they can sense, or they can indicate you about the quality of the material. So these technique has been used to develop those rapid kits. Carbon nanostructure is also there, which is hugely used, nanotubes, nanorods, etc. So biopolymer matrix with nanofiller. What we do in food packaging, different kind of nanofillers we incorporate into the biopolymer matrix. Now that may be in single layer, that may be in multi-layer. So if it is particle, so you can see that this green material is the green fibers are of biopolymer, and the nanofillers are this green dots. So when they have incorporated, and let's say any water molecule try to pass through this, so they won't get that straight path to cross the material. So this is the more often they can get a tortuous path, so the barrier property of the film will be enhanced. So whether it is an oxygen barrier or whether it is a moisture barrier. However, one thing we need to keep in mind, that mostly the biopolymers are hydrophilic. Okay, so which is a problem, like the moisture may come and they may diffuse, they may solubilize on the surface. So because of that, research is continuously going to partially replace this biopolymer with some other matrix which are not that much hydrophilic, or maybe some layer, some different kind of nanomaterial is trying to incorporate, so that this hydrophilicity can be reduced, and the film can be moved towards the hydrophobic film. So these are going on. So this kind of film, this kind of polymer matrix can be natural sources or can be synthetic sources also. So like polylactic acid, polycaprolactam, PHA, PHB, so these are very much in use because they provide you little higher functionality compared to the macromolecules, that means protein based film or starch based film. Okay, so because of that they are in use. Nanoparticle, nanocrystal, nanoclay, carbon nanotubes, nanofibers or nanosheets, all these things you can use to incorporate into this matrix, and you can see that how the properties, barrier properties can improve. Apart from that, antimicrobial activity against gram positive and gram negative bacteria can be there, that can also be achieved by using nanofillers incorporated in the matrix. And improvement of the mechanical property can also be done. So mechanical property, in the sense, the two most common thing that we measure in case of food packaging is tensile strength and elongation. So for food packaging, yesterday I talked about primary packaging, secondary packaging and tertiary. So generally these bio packaging films are used for the primary packaging. Now in the primary packaging, if you go for shrink wrap or cling wrap kind of thing, so you need elongation to be little higher. Okay, so strength is mostly required for primary, secondary packaging and tertiary packaging, but elongation is prime important for the primary packaging thing. So that has to be seen, that by incorporating this nanomaterial, how you can achieve a reasonable tensile strength with the elongation property to some extent higher side. So this we develop here. There is a representation, schematic representation of molecular migration through a film, which is figure A, a film with the nanofillers, and C is the multi-layer film. Okay, so multi-layer films, in between, let's say you have an aluminium foil and the other two side you have LDPE sheet. Similarly, in the B figure we can see that there are nanorods arranged, and this arrangement may not be as it is looking like now, because it may be not, you never know that how this distribution of rods are there. This is a schematic picture, but there may be a zigzag orientation that may be enhanced enhanced barrier property compared to this as well, if it is more scattered way the nanoparticles are distributed among the matrix. But it is a representation that how it has been enhanced, the path of this transfer. So if the path is enhanced, that means the less moisture or less oxygen will be traveling through the material. So incorporation of nanoclay into polymer results in formation of a tortuous path that restrict the diffusion of aroma, taint or other gases, and thereby increasing the mean path length for diffusion and hence reducing the diffusion rate. Now I was mentioning about that clay nanoparticle, organically modified clay, montmorillonite, etc. can have different kind of configuration. So here you can see tactoid, intercalated and exfoliated. So when this clay and polymer getting mixed up or getting blended, we can have tactoid kind of, that means the structure of this clay deposited at a particular location of the film, and this is even in large scale, or it is distributed. And we can get also this intercalated kind of structure, and the last one is the exfoliated. So all these three will give you different mechanical property, different barrier property. Okay, so that you can measure, but it was very unsure of that what kind of will be developed in which kind of mechanism. So for that you have to see critically by changing your process parameters, and then you have to see the images of the developed film, cutting a cross section under same, so that you can identify that what kind of formation has been done. Some properties of the nanomaterials. Zinc oxide, these are good antibacterial, these can provide good antibacterial activity, stability and photocatalytic activity. Silver nanoparticles and gold nanoparticles, so they can provide antibacterial and antifungal effects and are compatible with various materials. So gold specifically is used largely for making those detection or sensing kits, because they are not reacting, and they are very good indicators of the change of this kind of reactions. Nanofibrillated cellulose, good oxygen barrier resistant, provide rigidity and flexibility to the polymer matrix. Nanocrystalline cellulose. So nanocrystalline cellulose, they provide excellent tensile strength and stiffness, large surface area and appreciable optical and electrical properties. Now, and mostly antimicrobial food packaging is very much in use. People develop the coating or packaging for that. Now here I try to represent you one diagram from which you can get some idea that how the mechanism of destruction of microorganism takes place through the nanofillers or nanoparticles embedded into film. So nanoparticle and biopolymer composite, when we use, they can release the nanoparticles, which, as you know, that they have high reactivity because of increased aspect ratio, and their reactivity increases, their the properties increases because of the nanoscale, surface activity increases. So physical interaction with the membrane can take place, and reactive oxygen species generation can also take place. So because of that, more of reactive species they develop, which can break the cell wall, which can cause damage to the DNA, which can cause protein denaturation, membrane perforation, which can cause inhibition of replication and transcription process. They can impair the enzyme inactivation, they can generate the oxidative stress, disruption of the electron transport chain, internalization into the cell, these all things can happen, release of metal ions into the matrix, into the inside cell can happen, cell content may leak to the outside environment, and prevention of the biofilm formation. So all these things may happen, and because of that the destruction of the microorganism takes place. Now active packaging based on graphene oxide and salicylic aldehyde developed for preservation of food. So for fruit preservation, this kind of techniques is already developed, where you can reduce the preservative toxicity on fruits by using this graphene oxide. Other active packaging has been also developed for strawberry, so using the nano silver. So nano silver, they have used strawberry in conventional food container. The upper row you can see that how it has been destroyed, and in the lower row nano silver has been used in the packaging film. So you can see that the color and the quality of the sample is good even after 104 hours. So few studies has been done on different polymer and different nanoparticle combination. For example, silicate layers. So the nanoparticle is that nanofillers composed of inorganic clay minerals like montmorillonite. So that has been used to enhance the barrier property, and this study has been done in 2015. Polylactic acid by blow film co-extrusion method has been done, and with that clay nanoparticle has been incorporated to form the nanocomposite, and they found 40% increase in oxygen barrier property. So which is significant. 40% increase means this can be very well used for the food material which is causing the degradation because of oxygen transfer through packaging film. Coating of LDPE film. So on this polymer, the nanoparticle that were used was alternate deposition of polymer and silver, exposure to UV and ozone treatment, and they found the antibacterial activity against Staphylococcus aureus. Then high amylopectin thermoplastic starch, and with that nano clay has been incorporated, and this results in reinforces the film structure with increase in tensile strength, elastic modulus, and a decrease in the film elongation. So here you see elongation has been decreased, but tensile strength has been increased. So it depends for what kind of purpose you want to develop the film. So accordingly you need to enhance that functionality using the different kind of nano material. Then citric acid esterified cellulose nanocrystal has been used on the PVA matrix, and they got better thermal stability, clear UV shielding effect. Chitosan and Zane, on this chitosan and Zane was used as nanofibers has been embedded there and improve antioxidant or anti-browning properties they have found. Chitosan being a organic material, but it is a very good antimicrobial compound, so it has been used largely to the food packaging. Processing of the polymer nanocomposite. So there are different methods like in situ polymerization, blending method. Blending is solution blending or melt blending. In situ polymerization, where nanofillers are added into monomer of the solution, then they disperse properly. After that, polymerization takes place by evaporating the solvent, and polymer nanocomposite is developed. Similarly, blending is there, where the nanoparticle and the polymer chain, they are used and co-precipitation is being done, so all the nanoparticles will be covered by the polymer chain and this kind of particles develop. And in melt blending, what happened that polymer and graphene, for example, placed in the hopper, and then it is getting mixed in the extruder section heavily, and polymer graphene nanocomposite comes out. There is another approach where we do layer by layer assembly. So multi-layer nano coating or multi-layer film can be developed. So this is basically done by making the native film deposited in both acidic medium and the buffer medium, and by providing some hydrogen bond, and by that it is added layer by layer material. So there is no covalent bond is available here. It is only added by the hydrogen bond, different layer, but the functionality is definitely increased because you can add different kind of matrix in different layer. For example, the outer layer you can have an antimicrobial matrix, and inside layer you can have an antioxidant layer. So this way you can change the functionality of the film. So here one example has been given, where two different layer has been developed. Electrohydrodynamic processing. So application of external high voltage on either polymeric solution or melt. So this is a simple and cost effective technique that employs electrical and hydrodynamic forces to break down polymeric fluids into fine jets, and the influence of high voltage on the liquid surface causes the elongation of a jet, producing either a fiber, terms as the electrospinning, or droplets, terms as the electrospraying. So both this material you can get, either droplets you can get by electrospraying, or you can get the fiber. Electrospinning produces non-woven mats of continuous ultra-thin polymer fiber, and electrospraying, also known as electrohydrodynamic atomization, produces non-continuous structures that result in capsules or beads formation. So these processes can be controlled by adjusting the polymer melt properties such as conductivity, viscosity, surface tension, and other process parameters like solution concentration, input voltage, flow rate, and distance between the needle tip and collector. So here is the electrospinning setup. So you can see there is a syringe pump, and there is a nozzle insulating plate, there is a needle, there is a liquid jet which is coming, and polymer solution is coming through this, and there is a Taylor cone formation is there. From that the jet bending instantly, and high voltage supply is given across this needle tip and the plate, and on this collector we can get the nanofibers deposited. Nanotechnology in intelligent packaging. So intelligent packaging system may include the following components: indicators, as I mentioned already, time temperature indicator, integrity or gas indicator. If any tear has happened, so the gas composition inside may change, so for that integrity indicators are there. Freshness indicator, for example, microbial or pathogen detection, based on that they can indicate. Barcode and radio frequency indication tags are there, RFID, which are very good for traceability sensors. Sensors for like biosensor, gas sensor, fluorescence based oxygen sensors are there. So incorporating nanosensors to monitor and report the condition of the food. Nanosensors detect certain chemical compound, pathogens and toxin in the food by responding environmental changes inside the package. For example, the temperature, humidity, oxygen exposure, etc. Nanosensors alert the consumer to contamination of pathogen, detect harmful chemicals or degradation products caused by the food deterioration. So sometimes some toxin may happen. Toxin, even if the microbe got destroyed, but their toxin remain in some cases, so it will be identified. Nanosensors can be applied as label or coating to add an intelligent function to food packaging in terms of ensuring the integrity of the package through the detection of leaks for foodstuff. So these indicators, how it works, you can see that initially oxygen free package was pink in color, so when 0.1% or less oxygen was there, and eventually if any tear or integrity has been broken or has been destroyed, in that case oxygen will percolate through that, and oxygen when will increase in large amount like 0.5% or more, then the color will change. So it will indicate that how much deviation has happened at what temperature. So all these things will be known, and accordingly the businessman or the retailer can consider whatever change he need to do to preserve the food. UV activated colorimetric
Ma'am, you are muted.
Madam, you were muted.
Madam, please unmute. Hello, madam, please unmute.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
You are audible
So,
now.
okay, how long I was muted? Hello,
Yeah, from
Around
the
half
last
of
slide.
from the
last
last
slide
slide.
Last
only.
slide.
From slide. Yes.
This one only.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these are basically nano sensors. So when oxygen free package we have designed, let's say 0.1% or less oxygen is there, so then the color is pink, and when something has caused or some tearing has happened, so that the integrity of the package has hampered, so in that case oxygen will permeate through that, and oxygen will increase. So when it is increasing up to 0.5% or more, that time the color will change and blue indication will come, so that the person who are handling those foods can take the precaution and take whatever they need to do. So these are the thing. Then UV activated colorimetric oxygen indicators are there. Nanoparticles of titanium to photosensitize the reduction of methylene blue by triethanolamine in a polymer encapsulation medium using UVA light. So upon UV irradiation, the indicator bleaches and remain in the colorless state in the dark unless and until it is exposed to oxygen, where upon its original color is restored. So these are kind of mechanism that it is used. Toxin guard detection of pathogen bacteria. So these are commercially available techniques. System use this PE packaging material that contain immobilized antibodies to detect the presence of pathogenic bacteria, for example Salmonella, Campylobacter, E. coli, Listeria, etc. So here These are nutrient gel is there, and the dye we are using here, and the porous gel coat is also there, and detector ligand is there, and when they are captured on the polymer film, so this is how it will be changing. Antigens is there. So bacterial toxin is bound to the immobilized antibody. Bacterial toxin is bound to the immobilized antibody in contact with packaging material. So reaction happens and the color change will be there. So suitability for warm and cold environment, and it is shelf life of 1 year. So this kind of mechanism that is already being used in the commercial scale. Now Janus emulsion droplet. So these are very interesting particles. These are particles where on the surface two distinct category can be there on this nanoparticle surface. So there may be, for example, if we are developing some nanoparticle on the surface, half will be hydrophilic phase and half will be hydrophobic phase. Okay, so two distinct phase is happening or is appearing on a particle. It is produced in a different way. So those are called the Janus particle. So for detection of bacteria, optical properties change because of the pathogen recognition through carbohydrate lecithin interactions, and they induce light scattering that depends on the concentration of pathogen, and this system has a limit of detection about 10 to the power 4 CFU per ml with a response time around 5 seconds. Fast response and can be detected by naked eye also. Okay, so these particles are there, and when they come in contact with the with the bacteria, so they can signify the change, they can respond with very less time. So optical top view for Janus particle shows their transparency, and part of the Janus particle forming carbohydrate based interaction is capable of binding to this this bacteria, which is like to which is like the antigen of E. coli, and binding with this shows how the Janus particle, how the Janus droplet cluster causing the optical changes. So this is how it will indicating the changes. So immunomagnetic separation based detection. So nanoparticles like Fe2O3 can act as magnet to capture the specific pathogen. So allow for detection due to observable electrical and optical changes after binding, and for isolating pathogens by applying an extra electric field. So they can bind with the antibody, the Fe2O3 nanoparticle. So immunomagnetic nanoparticle, and different pathogens, different pathogen can be attached to that. So selective capturing of pathogen is possible. Now the concern is that the possibility of migration to food inside the package. So these are a challenge that we need to consider. Gas sensor for photo activated indicator ink for in-package O2 detection. So nano-sized TiO2 or SnO2 particles and redox active dye is there with methylene blue. So as I mentioned that the pink to blue change will happen. So this is helpful to check the seal integrity. Moisture sensor is there, package moisture level to check the package moisture level. So carbon coated copper nanoparticle dispersed in a tenside film is there. So in humid environment, swelling, large degree of inter-nanoparticle separation reflect or absorb different colors of light. A metallic color film has a reversible color change, which gives the possibility of reusing and recycling such indicators. So real-time monitoring of the humidity is possible. So you can see that with time how the color has changed. Electrochemical detection of microorganism. So conductive TiO2 nanowires bundle coated them with antibodies and deposited between two gold electrodes. So this is there, the mechanism. So these are antibody, targeted bacterium is here, and non-targeted bacterium is also there. So those are targeted will be adding to the antibody. Targeted bacterium is adding to the antibody, and those are attached to the titanium oxide nanowire bundle. So contaminated sample will change the impedance across the nanowire bundle. So by looking at the this change in impedance, we can identify that what has been done, what change or disturbances because of this targeted bacterium has occurred. So that can be observed by this. Increase bioavailability using the nanotechnology and packaging. So the protection of bioactive compounds such as protein, lipid, vitamin, carbohydrate and antioxidant from unfavorable condition can be achieved using nanotechnology and packaging technique for production of various functional food with improved functionality, bioavailability and stability. For example, suppose someone develop the antioxidant based coating for fresh fruits, and then that can give you an enhanced shelf life, and at the same time that those antioxidant can be released through the matrix also. Nano encapsulation of various functional ingredients such as antioxidant, flavor enhancer, browning inhibitor in food packaging can play an important role. Higher bioavailability, control release, prolonged residence time and higher shelf stability of active compounds can be available. Challenges are what? Compatibility of nanomaterial with polymer matrix. So all nano materials, nano fillers may not be compatible. So we have to see, and the proper distribution of nanoparticle in the matrix. So proper distribution in the sense, as I mentioned, that there may be tectoid, may be intercalated or may be exfoliated, but getting the exfoliated characteristics always, what parameter change is needed, that we have to see, because more uniform distribution will be helpful in achieving the good functionality, especially when we talk about antimicrobial property or antioxidant property or mechanical strength, etc. The toxicity and concern associated with the active agent as nano level. This is very important, and mostly this is, when we are using inorganic nanoparticle in the matrix, so these are more challenging, because in some time it has been observed that the organic material that our body absorb in our digestion system and all, some are absorbed in nanoscale only. Okay, but when we are talking about metal nanoparticles, and if they if they come to our body in large scale or in a small scale also, but they may cause huge changes. So we have to carefully see the regulation, and accordingly we have to apply. Need to be suitable for printing technology for mass production, low cost relative to the value of the food products, easy to use, reliable, simple and reproducible in their range of operation, and environmentally gentle as well as safe for food contact surfaces. So all these are the challenges of using the nano packaging to food. So thank you all for participating. So all the best for your exam. Do you have any query?
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, this is Dr. P. Adhikari. Thank you for such a nice presentation. Ma'am, will you share this PPT with us?
I think I have shared this with Professor Goswami. So
okay.
has he circulated with you?
Yeah, he has sent
Probably.
2 mails. So
Yeah,
it is
probably.
there only.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, welcome.
So good day and all the best to you. Hello, good day and all the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
So,
sir.
can we get today's PPT, please?
Today's PPT I have already sent that nanotechnology I have already sent, but my transport I could not because I am now preparing the questions. I am not able to do.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, okay, sir. Fine. Thank you very much.
Welcome.